Good morning, Mr. Dunywa.
Good morning, Chief Justice and Honorable Commissioners.
Thank you very much for availing yourself for consideration for appointment as a judge of the Eastern Cape Division. I see that you hold the degrees of B. Juris, LLB, and LLM. Is that correct?
That is true, CJ.
And you obtained these degrees, the B. Juris from the University of Zululand, the LLB from UNISA, and the LLM from the Nelson Mandela Metropolitan University. Is that right?
That is true, CJ.
Well, if you obtained your B. Juris in 1983 from the University of Zululand, then you must have been in the same class as me.
I was your senior, CJ. Mthatha.
But I see that we may have gone to different universities, but must have become your senior when we did LLB.
That is true, CJ. I was doing
I overtook you.
Yes, you did, CJ. You did.
Oh, no. So you would have been, what, 1 year ahead of me?
Yes, CJ. I came to University of Zululand in 1980.
Oh, yes. Yeah, because I came in 1981.
Yes, CJ.
Okay. No, it sounds like a very long time ago.
That is true, CJ.
Yes. Okay, no, thank you. And you started your working career as a clerk in the Department of Justice in 1981. So you must have been on government bursary or something?
That is true, CJ. I was awarded that bursary in 1981.
Yes, okay. And then 1983 to 1984, you were public prosecutor.
That is true, CJ. I started to work in Manfred in 1983 as a public prosecutor.
Yes. And you began as an assistant magistrate in 1984.
That is true, CJ.
And that went up to 1986. And then in 1986 to 1990, you were a magistrate.
That is true, CJ.
Yes. And in 1998, you were a regional court magistrate. Is that right?
That is true, CJ.
After the senior magistrate. I'm skipping the senior magistrate.
Yes, that is true, CJ. After acting also as a regional magistrate in 1997, Butterworth, yes.
Yes. So at this stage, you remain a regional court magistrate.
Currently, I'm the regional court president.
Regional court president, yeah.
Yes.
That is from 2013.
Yes, CJ.
Yes, up to now.
But having acted also from 2010.
Oh, okay. Now, during this time, when you were a magistrate, senior magistrate, and regional court magistrate, up to president of the regional court, have you been exposed or have you dealt with civil matters in those capacities?
I didn't do much of civil, CJ, in those years because we were head of offices who were dealing with those few cases, more especially those involving customary law. There wasn't much of civil on its own, but you had few of those cases.
Yes. Okay. Let me just say, only acting CJ.
Thank you, CJ.
So how much exposure to civil work have you had?
I did have the exposure of civil work here in regional court, CJ, but the most serious part of it is in high court when I was acting for the period of plus minus or more than 1 year. The most part of my civil is the high court one.
And that was from when to when? The 1 year was from when to when?
It was different stints, CJ, but I think I started in 2011. But
Yes.
I also acted in 2014 and 2016, and mostly in 2020 and 2021.
Are you able to, when you said it was about a year, so I guess that when you put all the acting stints together, they make more or less a year. That's what you meant.
I meant, CJ, they make more than 45 weeks if I
Yes.
include the period when I would act during recess. But
Oh.
the period when I was acting with a judicial appointment, it is 45 weeks.
Was there a period when you were acting without a judicial appointment?
I mean, CJ, the period where, for example, one is finalizing cases from
Yeah. Parted matters.
parted matters,
Yeah.
yes. That is the period
Yeah.
I'm including, yes.
Okay, but so when you include everything, when you were seized with high court work,
Yes,
you say it would be about 45 weeks.
yes, CJ.
Yes, okay, which would be just under a year. Because in a year, don't we have 52 weeks?
I mean, CJ, I exclude the periods where there is recess. I was just including only the period where you are taking a term and then exclude the recess. I didn't include it.
So if you include all the times when you were busy with high court work,
Yes.
it would go up to how many weeks if you include that, more or less?
More or less, I would say 46 to 47 weeks if I include the recess periods.
Yeah.
But the ones where there is no recess, specifically, they are 45 weeks from my calculation.
Yes. And so you say when it comes to civil work in the regional court and magistrates court, whatever exposure you had there was quite limited.
But the one in regional court, CJ, I cannot necessarily say it was limited because as a judicial officer, I normally visit other centers where I hold courts, and I was also responsible for the civil implementation in the province of the Eastern Cape since regional court civil started from 2010.
Yes, but I just want to make sure we are on the same page.
Yes.
I'm talking about actual adjudication of civil
Yes.
matters.
Yes.
And maybe motion court and trials.
Yes. Yes.
How much exposure did the regional court give you to that?
It did not give me the same extent which I got in high court.
Yes.
The high court one is more than the regional court one. And the reason for that is because each time I was acting in the high court, I was just given civil to do, not criminal court.
Yes. And do you remember more or less how many judgments in civil matters you wrote in the regional court?
In regional court?
Yeah, in the regional court.
I don't think they exceed 10, CJ, acting CJ.
Okay.
But I'm not used to say acting.
But that would be limited, would it not be?
Yeah, it is limited. My highest civil experience is in high court.
Yes, okay.
Yes.
And in the high court, how many judgments more or less have you written on civil work, civil cases?
CJ, I cannot.
Just an estimate.
Yeah, I think even the latest one, which I was writing now, consists plus minus 14. I just from 2020 to 2021. I don't know now if I add all of them, including the 2014, the 2016, and the 2011.
You say there are 14 that come from your most recent acting.
The recent acting under the current judge president, yes. More or less, but I'm not accurate.
Yes.
Yes.
So do you think if you look at all your acting stints in the High Court, they might be more than 30?
They can be more than 30, JP.
Yes.
Acting CJ, sorry.
Yes.
Yes.
And are there any of them that have been reported in the South African law reports? Or any of those reports that we normally use?
Unfortunately, CJ, I only have those reported in SAFLI, not in the South African law reports, yes.
Okay, all right. Now, what types of branches of law have the civil cases that you have dealt with fallen under? What branches of law, more or less, do they fall? Contract, matrimonial, competition matters, common law competition, constitutional litigation, administrative, customary law, delete, whatever.
Although I cannot recall them all, CJ, but I remember the first case I did in Mthatha was related to the continued injury in the medical negligence. And other cases I've dealt with also include RAF, some include the Mandament Funds Poly, and some in the opposed motion court included contracts and deals, yes. Yes.
Judge President.
Thank you, ACJ. For the sake of expediency, I've prepared a spreadsheet, CJ, and maybe we would move swifter if we were to make use of it. Good morning, Mr. Dunywa.
Good morning, JP.
At page 3 of the spreadsheet, it sets out the acting stints during my JP-ship.
Yes.
Starting from 13 April up to and including 26 March 2021.
Yes, JP.
And then at page 4.
Do I have it here, JP? Or is it?
You're supposed to have it.
Oh, yes.
It's headed List of Judgments by Eastern Cape Candidates, JSC, October 2021.
Thank you, JP.
But you are being supplied with one now for the sake of expedience.
Thank you, JP.
Let's go to page 4. Is it so that you've written judgments in 3 opposed applications?
I agree. Yes, JP.
And then 2 civil trials?
Yes, JP.
1 criminal trial?
Yes, JP.
And then 2 bail appeals?
Yes, JP.
3 criminal reviews?
Yes, JP.
When I started as well, way back then I was acting Deputy Judge President in Mthatha. You will recall that there was a meeting involving yourself and regional magistrates. The concern expressed at that meeting was that civil cases justiciable in the regional court tend to serve before the High Court. And as a result of that, the role of civil trials is huge in Mthatha and at the other centers, of course. You can bear testimony to that litigants tend to avoid the regional court and choose to go to the High Court by virtue of the fact that it's got inherent jurisdiction anyway.
That is true, JP. And even when I was introducing civil implementation myself in Port Elizabeth, where I was meeting legal fraternity of all centers, I was told the same, that regional magistrates do not necessarily have the same experience as the High Court when it comes to civil.
Yes, and you will bear testimony to the fact that sometimes it is good to have regional court magistrates acting in the High Court purely for one reason, so that they can emulate the work ethic of the High Court and plow it back in the regional court.
I can bear testimony to that, JP, because even myself, all what I learned in the High Court stints, I was able to introduce it in the regional court. And even above that, I remember that at one stage we had a meeting together where you indicated that we need to exchange the training. You give me the advocates to be trained in criminal law, and I also give you regional magistrates to be trained in civil law. And I also benefited from that.
Yes. And then lastly, you will also agree with me that in the High Court, the challenge is more civil cases than criminal cases. I'm not looking down upon criminal cases, but all I'm saying is the civil jurisdiction of the High Court is much wider, and it requires expertise in civil trials as well. I'm sorry, civil cases generally.
That is true, JP. I agree with you there. And it is in line with the fact that even my exposure to High Court is mainly civil, because of the fact that it was intended that I must gain more of civil than criminal exposure, which I already have.
Yes, lastly, if you've got 5 judgments penned from the period 13 April to 26 April 2020, or let me say the 3 acting stints you've had, you've got 5 judgments that you've written. You agree with me that more mileage, if it were to be gained, would place you in a better position?
Considering the fact that, JP, I'm not necessarily able to count the ones I did before, I would think that I have already done more mileage because of the fact that during this period I was acting, it was during the COVID period when court would not necessarily sit as usual, like it would have been under normal circumstances.
Thank you, CJ.
Thank you. Mr. Gade, MEC Gade, if you have any questions, I give you an opportunity now.
Once more, thanks CJ, and thanks to the panelists. I don't have a question thus far as CJ.
Yes.
I would plead with you. Let's proceed, yes.
Yes, okay, thank you. Mr. Dunywa, have you, during your action stint, dealt with cases where legislation is challenged as being unconstitutional and you had to consider what remedy you should give?
Unfortunately, CJ, I have not done with the with the invalidity of the Act of Parliament and its unconstitutionality. I have not. I've just applied constitution in the normal day-to-day application of law, which is the Supreme Law of the land in any way.
Yes. And have you dealt with motion matters?
Yes, CJ, I've dealt with motion matters. For example, I remember one of the strongest place when it comes to motion court is Mthatha. I remember that at one stage I was also following JP to be at Mthatha when I had 133 cases which I had to do in one day.
Yes.
And I have also done opposed motion more during my previous stints of 2014, 2016. And I have done motion court in all the divisions, Port Elizabeth, Grahamstown, and Mthatha inclusive.
Okay, commissioners. Commissioner Mthatha.
Thank you, ACJ. Good morning.
Morning, Commissioner Sape.
There is a complaint lodged by, I think, Mr. Mbagaza against you. Have you had an opportunity to look at that?
I did, Commissioner.
And would you like to address us on that issue?
I can, Commissioner.
Please, thank you.
Mr. Mbagaza was the former deputy DPP of KZN, and his wife is working as a regional court magistrate in Zwelitsha. Apparently, he phoned me at one stage about the complaint he had with his wife, which necessarily was involving him and his wife, but I could not necessarily make head or tail of what he would like me to do. But later on then, I was told or informed by police at Zwelitsha from the Hawks department that they wanted me to give them an itinerary of all the journeys which were undertaken by Mem Kangani, the wife of Mr. Mbagaza. And I supplied the itinerary to the police. I think it was a constable or Sergeant Banti by that time. But later on, Mr. Banti also said to me that he would like that to be commissioned and made a statement. Later on then, I then commissioned that and I made it to be a statement which was handed to the Hawks. But I think it could have been misunderstanding on the side of Mr. Mbagaza to think that I did not respond to that. I did respond, and I have a letter from the head of the Hawks which confirms that I did so, as well as the letter also which comes from our office which indicates that we complied with the request which was coming from the police.
Thank you, Mr. Have we been supplied with those letters?
We do. I don't have it with me, but I sent to the secretary, Miss Kutwana. Yes,
Okay.
the two letters.
Okay. Thank you, ACJ.
Thank you very much. Commissioners on the virtual platform, is there anybody with a question there? No question there. Is President Meyer?
Thank you, ACJ. Good morning, Mr. Dunywa.
Good morning, President.
I'm just
Maya.
trying to find this comment on one of the professional bodies said something about, they expressed a concern about your health. And I was looking at your CV and I see nothing that indicates that page 7. Well, you know your health situation best. What can you tell us?
I know my health situation best, Commissioner. The only thing which I developed, I think from around about 2010, was diabetes, which is the lifestyle disease. And and later on I developed hypertension. But I'm managing all that because I conducted even, what do we call this doctor? There is Dr. Yuri in Port Elizabeth who told me that the best thing to control your blood pressure, your sugar, is your diet. For example, I'm not as I was before. Anyone who had seen me before, I had a big stomach. Now you can see that I'm relying on vegetables and fruit, and my health has improved seriously. I don't think I have a complaint about my health. But maybe the only thing which I can mention is that maybe somebody who could have seen me after the acting stint in Grahamstown, I contracted COVID. And then it was at that stage that I was seriously ill and I woke up from the deathbed. Maybe somebody who might have seen me at that time then could have been able to say my health is a problem, or maybe there's something wrong with it. But from my side, I feel much younger now.
Okay, so in sum, those health conditions are under control.
They are under control,
Thank-
President.
Yeah. Okay. Judge President Mlambo.
Thank you very much, Acting Chief Justice. Good morning, Mr. Dunywa.
Good morning, JP.
Just two very short points from me. I feel a bit bad that you haven't bragged enough in your CV. Why didn't you tell this commission that you also served in the National Judiciary IT Steering Committee?
I think it could have been my oversight then, JP, because that is where we managed to have many things for the lower court as a result of the chairmanship that you have for us in that JAIT meeting. That JAIT meeting is the one where we have since now established our own lower court JAIT, so that it must be a subcommittee to your own JAIT, because you were always complaining, why are you not coming up with things from the lower court so that we understand why your IT is not necessarily up to date? And we are coming with those things now.
No problem.
Yes, JAIT.
All I wanted to say is you're one of the pioneers in the regional court magistracy who is leading the judiciary to the fourth industrial revolution, isn't it?
Thank you, JP. That is true. When it comes to statistics, I think I mentioned that in a way to say, for example, for regional court, we develop statistics which are such that if you are a head of court, you must be able to monitor your region as a whole. When I'm sitting, for example, in Port Elizabeth or Kabeja, I'm able to know how many cases are outstanding in Kumbu. I'm able to know how many cases are standing in Alwal North. I'm able to monitor and see that the workload is going down in such and such a place. Yes.
Mr. Dunywa, thank you very much.
Thank you,
I
JP.
just wanted to help you brag about what you do. Thank you.
Thank you, JP.
Thank you, Acting
Thank
Chief.
you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, JP.
It looks like there are no minister.
Good morning, President.
Good morning, Minister of Justice.
Yes, I want to just take from where the JP ended. You are firmly aware of the ransomware that has attacked the systems of the department.
Yes, Minister,
And,
I'm aware.
I know that you are also involved in the processes of the restoration and all that. What would you want to advise the department and government in general, even the judiciary, as we now moving to the digital platform to protect ourselves in terms of cyber attacks and cushions?
Minister, that is a difficult question for me because I'm not necessarily, although I know or I'm more interested in statistics to the extent that at one stage, I remember that some of your directorate had to come to the Eastern Cape when we were fighting the issue of ICMS, saying that you can improve ICMS and do it better in this way. But the issue of cyber attack is not necessarily something I think can be within my good knowledge. But the only thing that we were saying was that it was necessary that at least the department must find other solutions, which in fact they did find other solutions, because magistrates were complaining about the fact that they don't have claims. There were issues of maintenance not being paid to children, but those things have been done now, and we are really happy that at least those things have been corrected. But to say what remedy cyber attacks can be prevented by, I don't think I can be good enough to give you that advice, Minister.
Yeah, I'm asking you deliberately because I also know that the office of the OCJ at some stage had the same challenge.
Yes.
And it does look like it should not only be the department that and OCJ that prepares itself.
Yes.
You have that committee of magistrates and so forth.
Yes.
It does look like we all have to work together.
Yes.
To ready ourselves for this new world.
Yes.
So maybe that is it's what I was asking you to say. What do you think from your levels also as magistrates should be done that will also prepare yourselves to this reality of this new world?
Thank you, Minister, for that one. I agree with you that having developed or formed this new committee which deals with IT in the lower court, we interact with your people almost time and again. They reported to us time and again as to what is the latest information they have and what has been done by the department. I agree that is the best solution now, because we have been saying even before that the department must not develop new things without us being consulted, because those things, those engagements can make the system to be better. For example, we were saying some of the ICMS solutions are not necessarily what we need as judiciary, because as judiciary, we need an information which tells us how to manage our courts efficiently. But now that we are interacting time and again, we are able to inform our courts, and we are able to make some other means, for example, of saying, rather than for the regional court to be sitting in a particular place on a particular day, it can sit in another place so as to cure maybe a problem of SOS machines which is not working in that particular place.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioners on the virtual platform, or had I asked them? Yes. Okay. I think we have come to the end of this interview. Thank you very much, Mr. Dunywa, for availing yourself. You are now excused.
Thank you very much, CJ and commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity that you have given to me.
Thank you.